Hello, everyone. I'm Raquel, Bozzi, Senior Director of Education and International Initiatives at Film Independent. And in that capacity, I'm fortunate to lead Global Media Makers, a cultural exchange program designed to foster relationships between American filmmakers and international film professionals and filmmakers as well. Global Media Makers is supported through a partnership between Film Independent and the United States Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. Before we start this very special conversation we have in store for you with the filmmakers in the Female Gaze, the short film showcase that we just presented this week, I would love to thank our lead sponsor, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and our virtual screening partner, Vision Media. So I am really excited to see all these beautiful women here with me today. They're an esteemed group of women directors who have participated over the last few years in the Los Angeles residency of Global Media Makers program. Joining us from 5 different countries are, and just wave when I call your name, please. Ayten Amin from Egypt. She's joining us from Cairo, and she's the director of the short Spring '89. Darin Sallam from Jordan. She's the director of the short The Parrot, and she's joining us from Amman, or you in Beirut?
No, I'm in Amman.
In Amman. Mira Shaib from Lebanon. She's the director of Lilacs, and she's currently in Beirut. Medji from Morocco. She's the director of Out of Town, and she's currently in Marrakesh. And last but not least, Shazia Iqbal from India. She's the director of Bebaak, and she's joining us from Bombay right now. First of all, I just want to congratulate all of you for such beautiful work, and thank you for sharing your experience with us today. When I'm watching, I had seen your work before. That's when I first noticed you and wanted just to meet you guys, and you were selected to come for Global Media Makers based on your beautiful work and based on the current films that you're working on that we have supported through the Los Angeles residency. So what I noticed recently when I watched it again to prepare for this conversation is that all of your films have such a strong voice and point of view that feels very rooted in a particular experience of personal relevance, yet they're very relatable and universal. So I want to start from the beginning. And briefly, because we have 5 people, what was the seed of the idea for your short? And before you kind of go to the origin of the story, can you please give like a brief log line so people who have watched the program remember which one is which? So Ayten, you want to start?
Yeah, well, Spring '89, it was originally the idea of the script writer, Wissam Suleiman, who wrote it, and it was about her teenage years, and it's about 2 teenage girls who both have a crush on the same guy, and you see the story from both sides. You see how it goes from both sides. So the film is in 2 parts.
Again, it feels, the writer is a woman. Is she a friend of yours, or?
Yeah. She's a woman, and she's a friend of mine. She used to be married to Mohammed Khan, who's a very famous Egyptian director. And at the time, I was working as an assistant with Mohammed Khan, and she was writing this script. And we met through him. He told her about me, and he told her that I think she would be interested in what you're writing. So we met, and she was telling me about this story, and then I was telling her about the years when I was a teenager. I found the similarities between because there was something in the point of view which was about that when you're a teen, you're always thinking that the others are smarter, or they're more beautiful, they have something special, and it's always like this. And then at the end you find out that all of us think this way, that we all think that the other one has something special.
We're all dealing with insecurities. You know, I think any woman or girl can relate to that, and to having the same crush as their best friend.
Yes, but yeah, always the friendship, there is something كده that it's يعني you love them very much, and at the same time you at this age there's a little bit of competition, because you think that you're like you say, a bit insecure. It gets complicated at this age.
Well, it's a beautifully executed idea and film. Congratulations! And with that, I'm looking at my screen and I'm going the way I see people here. So, Mira, can you talk a little bit about Lilacs?
Yeah, Lilac is a story about a 34 years old girl. Her name is Hannah. She lived in Germany for almost 12 years, and she came back to Lebanon to see her dying mother. So she figures out that her brother was kidnapped during the Lebanese civil war, and she goes on a journey in Lebanon, in Beirut mainly, to look for a lead on her brother, whether he's dying or alive. The film the film is produced by Film Academy, Baden-Württemberg, and Robert Bosch Stiftung in Germany. I went there for 6 months on a grant and scholarship to develop the script. And I had German script supervisors from the academy. And then we came back to Lebanon with the German crew to film and shoot the film, to film the film here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that this talks about the past in Beirut, but it seems like you guys are reliving a lot of the past, or the past never left you.
Right, honestly, nothing changed. Like whenever, like for example, my new feature film, I'm Erze, this story is still relevant from 30 years ago. So like the situation in Lebanon, it's still in a way the same. So Lilacs also is relevant now, because exactly. A lot of people now are looking for the missing family members since the Civil War, since the 1970.
And this desire, I hear a lot about people wanting to leave Beirut or Lebanon now, and the film starts exactly with the taxi driver asking, "Why are you back? Anybody who left, why are they?"
That was like 5 years ago. So now yeah, sadly, a lot of people are hoping to leave the country because, our future here is not going anywhere, especially after what's happening. So it's been hard, especially on filmmakers. So we're trying to find a way out of here, but we're still hoping that, and we're gonna keep fighting for the country forever. So that's not gonna change.
I guess that's the tension where your souls live right now, and I think that is showing some amazing art as well. Not that I'm minimizing what you're going through, but I think it's a tension that I sense in your existence. This desire to leave, but also wanting to stay and work for your country.
Exactly.
Rim, what about Out of Town?
So Out of Town tells the story of a woman who goes to the edge of the city. She meets strangers. She's in a strange territory. And at the end, I mean, everybody has seen the film, I guess, but it's a woman who has to go to do an abortion illegally. That doesn't work. At the end, she can't have it. But the film is not a film about abortion. It's not the way I see it. Abortion is just an excuse to explore a kind of atmosphere and of a psychological journey of my character, where someone, in this case a woman, has to go through this very hard journey all by herself in a strange place, illegally. and the way she lives this, and I try to just see how can I convey this deep psychological experience cinematically.
You have done that, exactly that, really, really well. Darin,
Yes.
what about the parrot?
I was just thinking that it's been a while that I talked about the parrot because I've been away working on my film now. But it's The Parrot is a dark comedy short film. It's about a very old conflict, maybe 70 years old conflict. But I decided that I want to talk about it from an objective lens, or a different way. It's about a Tunisian Jewish family, Mizrahi family, who immigrated to Palestine, to Haifa specifically, in 1948. To settle in this nice house in Haifa, and they find a parrot. They're looking for a new life, to find a parrot that is left behind from a Palestinian family, the Palestinian family that left the house, which like this parrot doesn't make it any easier for them to adapt. So basically it's about identity, exile, and about a very like big conflict that affected the whole like area, not only Palestine, but the whole like countries of the Middle East. And to be honest, I had Farha, my feature film that I'm working now on, like since years. And I really wanted to do something dark comedy or something more fun before going into this like heavy film. So this is why I did this film.
Is it based on a short story, any underlying material, or is this just a story that you heard of, you know, kind of like in a more oral tradition way?
Actually, it's based on like my friend who's also worked with me on this. He heard basically either he heard or someone of his relatives, because we hear a lot of stories from our grandparents, and one of his relatives, I think, forgot a parrot. She was from Jerusalem, and she was an old woman who she like in the chaos she couldn't take her parrot with her, and she left it there. So basically, when I heard this, I couldn't stop thinking about what would happen to this parrot, and who would like who's taking care of this parrot now. So basically, it's just like one of many stories that happened at that time. And I decided to take it to a different direction, to make it like a dark comedy, and to laugh at this parrot who's the memory of the family, of the Palestinian family. He is the memory. He's a reminder for the new family, the Tunisian family, the Jewish family of the old family. He keeps reminding them that this place used to belong to someone else, and it's not like making it any easier. So yeah,
It's really funny. And Shazia, what about Bebaak, which means in English, it means defiance?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us about defiance.
So Bebaak is a story which was with me for over 2 decades. And when I decided to make my first film, a few friends were actually a little reluctant to ask me to go ahead with it, because it was something that was talking about conservatism in Muslim family, and the situation with Muslim community in India has been so bad over past few years that my friends were a little wary of how it would work out, talking about a minority community like that. But
tell us a little bit the story, what it is, or were you about to say that?
Yeah. So Bebaak is about this girl, a Muslim girl, who is studying architecture, and she goes for a scholarship to this institution which provides scholarship for minority girls. And instead of talking about education, the interviewer is a misogynist guy who tells her how she's dressed, and he starts commenting on her way of life and her choice of clothes. And that's what we're largely talking about, how religion gives standout to people to control women. So Bebaak is about this notion of choice when we talk in the narrative of hijab, because hijab has been such a mainstream conservation from last few years. And but I thought that it was sort of getting on a very unidimensional, phase where people were just talking about, oh, it's a choice or it's not a choice. But choice, so we were targeting the notion of choice itself, that what is choice? If a kid is conditioned to believe something, can that be termed as a choice? So that is what we were talking about. And the alienation of being stuck in this modern versus traditional ideas, that was a very strong theme for the main character. So we were trying to tackle all of that. I don't know how much we've been succeeded in doing that, but yeah, that was the main idea.
And this is a very, you know, when I said all the stories feel really rooted in some experience, lived experience. This is kind of a personal story, right? This is a little or a lot an autobiographical story, correct?
Yes.
It's very, very powerful, and you know, right now I feel is so current with what's going on with the Muslim minority in India, for people who you know are not that familiar with what's going on in India right now. I want to, before I go to the next question, I want to remind everybody who is watching that you can ask questions. Go to the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and you can start asking questions now, and I'll tackle the questions when we're done with the next couple of questions. Or I might pick up on your question before I continue with my own questions. So this program, for my next question, I want to set it up like this program is about the female gaze. And even though there has been some promising progress in the last few years in terms of opportunities for women and for women's growth and participation in the film industry, historically, there have been not too many female role models for women to follow a career in film, much less directing. So when and how did you figure out that becoming a film director was an option for you? And was there a female role model in film or in the arts that kind of did it for you? Like, go like, yeah, I can do these. Who wants to take that question first?
Yeah, مثلا for me, for a long time I didn't consider working in cinema as an option for me. يعني, I actually started out as a banker, and I worked in the bank for a long time before I actually admitted to myself that I really wanted to work in cinema. And this is because it's not easy to do this in this in here, يعني, in this community, and also there was a problem يعني there were actually like 2 or 3 female filmmakers in all of our history, and they were not very much celebrated, يعني maybe a film or something. But although the Egyptian cinema, when it started out, actually it started with a female producer. The first film was produced by a female producer, and who was an actress. But at the same time, they did not play a role in directing. There were many producers. At the beginning, I didn't think it was an option. But when I started out, and even when I started studying cinema, I didn't tell them that I wanted to be a director. I felt so shy to say this, and I told them that I wanted to be a writer because writing is easier, and you do not deal with a lot of people. And I didn't think myself. I didn't think of myself as a leader, actually. Yani, it was not something that I thought of. But when I started working, when I started doing just little projects and doing shots and things like that, I started by watching a lot of European films. And at the time, I discovered a lot of female filmmakers. Mainly, yani, there were French filmmakers who I really loved their work. And then I could see it as a possibility that you can actually do this. يعني it's not يعني it was always considered a man's job being a director. So this is how it worked out.
What French directors, you know, were kind of your models, like where you go like, wow, I can do this?
يعني there's a female director that I really love called Mia Hansen-Love. I really love her work. And there's my Wen also. I love her work. And there's Agnès Varda, of course, who's actually يعني I actually loved her as a character also. يعني there's something very inspiring to see her and to see how she talks about cinema and her audacity. It's very inspiring.
So I just want to interject here. I'm sorry to spill the beans here, but go from there to Ayten is the first female director with a film that was in the main selection of the Cannes Film Festival this year. So we've made some progress here, right?
Yeah.
And at the end, we'll talk about what plans are there for Suad, which is your film that you came with to Los Angeles to develop and work on through the Global Media Makers program. And you did it in our screenwriters lab here at Film Independent. So I feel like a proud mom, like, yay! Anyone want to follow up that? I mean, there's a lot to be said about being a woman and kind of finding your way. Okay, Shazia, and then Rim, and then Mira. They're like, yay!
In India, it's still like that. It's considered to be a man's job, and there's hardly anyone to look up to when you're trying to, like, you know, break out as a female director. But I remember there's this Indian English director, Gurinder Chadda. I remember as a kid, I saw her, and the first time I saw the film, Bend It Like Beckham, I didn't even know that, you know, there were women at this job. And that was really exciting. And when Bebaak was actually there at New York Indian Film Festival, I met her and I told her that I didn't know that I could be a director if I had never seen Bend It Like Beckham. But there are a couple of other female filmmakers which have been like Arnia Arnold and Lynn Ramsey. I think they are phenomenal directors. But there is a discrepancy in the Indian scenario. It's still considered a man's job in 2020, and you're looked as a female and you'll be able to say and direct only a certain kind of film, which I think is very limiting as far as opportunities are considered. So you won't be given, say, a superhero movie to direct because you're a woman. So I think those notions need to be shattered most importantly. And I'm talking mostly about India, but I'm sure it's something like a blanket thing that we can talk about everywhere. That because someone is a woman should be only saying, I mean, we do bring our female gaze to the table, but I feel that there is so much more that is not gendered as far as storytelling goes. And that needs to be spoken about.
Great. Reem?
Yeah, I mean, to be very quick, as far as I know, I wanted to write stories and tell stories, and then quite early I knew I wanted to make films. But in Morocco and in the Arab world and the Maghreb region, North Africa, I have been growing up with films made by women. Farida Belyazid, she's a female director from Morocco. She has been a scriptwriter at the beginning, and then she made her films. Moufida Tlatli, she's a Tunisian filmmaker. Ines Dredis, she's Egyptian. So when I was growing up as a millennial and I was watching TV or sometimes going to the movies, I saw these films made by women, even if they were not, they were quite a minority, but I could relate and identify as a growing young woman and watching other women from my region and from my country making films and bringing this new perspectives to the screen. And of course, if we look internationally, there is Chantal Akerman and Agnès Varda, as it was said before. So many pioneer filmmakers that have been doing not just making film as women, but bringing new perspectives and bringing really new ways of making films, really inventing and reinventing the medium itself.
Did you say you were watching these films by women from the Maghreb and from the Arab world on TV, or were these films that you went to see in some cinematheque or art house?
I mean, given the film industry and the theatrical release system in Morocco, we have only few films per year, and each film goes to the theater houses, and then after 2-3 years we have it on TV. So yeah, when I was a kid, I watched most of them on TV.
It's interesting that they were on TV, so that's really great. Mira.
Yes, I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was, since I was really young, but mainly my brother, Shaib, he influenced me because he used to send me a lot of American films to watch, and Lebanese films, mainly for Lebanese female directors like Randa Shaha Sabagh, Justine Saab, and of course Nadine Labaki. So like, I knew it was hard, and even my parents were against it when I wanted to study. But I was insisting, like, I want this, I want to try this, because they always thought that it's going to be hard making a living out of filmmaking in Lebanon. So I did it, I studied, I wanted to be a director, and I always felt like there are a lot of local stories from Beirut that I can tell. I mean, I grew in the war. I grew in times where we had war, and till now we're still facing a lot of things. So there's a lot of stories to be told from the ground, from the people. So this is like what I always wanted to do, and this is my goal still, to tell like real local stories from the country.
Wonderful. Darin.
It's weird that every time I get inspired by all these stories by women, but it's very weird that I never thought of any of these things because I never thought or never planned to become a director. And I always say this, I just found myself making a short film, and it was like a joke for my parents that they thought, it's just like a phase and she will move on. But I really didn't care. I never knew about any or research about female directors, or I never knew if there are female directors or there are not. I just found myself obsessed with the story, and I was just working to make it happen. And to be honest, my obstacle was that I looked very young always. And it was like a challenge that people would take me seriously, because I really look very young and like a child, and everybody like thinks I'm 16 when I'm like in my 20s. So this is the only thing that I faced. But I remember I was focused on the process, that I really I have a dream. I want to make a short film. It's 2 minutes. It's like very basic and simple. Now I wouldn't show it to anyone, but I mean, I was very busy doing everything I can to make this happen, and I really didn't see these things. But now I can see that really it's an issue, that people would think, you can't be a leader, you can't lead a team. But I think not focusing on that and just focusing on one thing to make it happen, people will just also do the same and will just be with you and focus on the process and the journey of making this film.
Well, I can tell firsthand how great leaders and visionaries all of you are, and really I can't wait to see what's next coming from you guys. So what's next? I know that a couple of you have films that you just finished. Tell us what's next with that. And a few of you are working on 1 or 2 films. Tell us what's next. Who wants to in your careers? I mean, Who wants to take that question first? What's coming next from you guys? What's happening right now?
Sorry,
Mira?
I'm my GMM fellow. I'm still working on my feature film. I'm Erze. We're still collecting funds, so that's mainly. And recently, I started working on a documentary after the revolution about a guy about a guy. His name is Ali Shaib. He's like a second cousin who got really famous during the revolution. After, like, in the 70s, he knew what's going to happen in Lebanon, and he was shot and killed by the Lebanese government. So it's an interesting twist story. No one really knows the truth about this man, and I am still figuring out the truth. I'm doing my research now. I'm asking a lot of people. So that's about it. That's what's new for me.
Great. Who wants to be next?
Yes,
I kind of steal your thunder, but go for it again.
Lala, I just finished the film. Yani it was selected in Canvas. We at the time we did not finish it. It was a work in progress. So we went to Beirut and we finished the film. So now I finished it, and I'm trying to do other projects which are more commercial, yani TV series, because I had a career in television. So I'm trying to work on a TV series till the film is released.
And the film is SWAT, right?
Yes, SWAT.
So when and where will we be able to see SWAT? Any updates on that?
Well, it's next year, the beginning of next year probably, because our sales agent was advising us not to release it this year, so we're postponing to early next year.
Can we guess why the sales agent is advising against?
Because he wants to physically premiere the film, and he didn't want us to premiere the film online, and he still believes that we can have a better chance, so we're waiting.
Okay,
let's hope.
I think I can see that's good advice, so I'll be patient, but
we'll see.
Anyone else wants to follow? Darin?
I'm also finalizing my film, my feature film, Farha. That was part of the Global Media Makers in 2018. And I was also in Beirut working on sound. And hopefully, like Ayten said, it's better to release the film in 2021 because it will be very difficult. Not very difficult. It will be a shame to have a theater without people. But still, this is not confirmed. We're still discussing, me and my producers. We're still studying what's the options we have. But this might be the plan. But still, as you know, it takes time. After like finalizing everything, the color and the sound and everything together, and hopefully I'll be able to share it with you. I'd love to hear your opinion sometime soon.
So excited. So, by the way, you both were mixing your films in Beirut, and you both are working with the same sound designer, right? No?
We're working on the same studio of mix, the mix studio, but with different sound designers.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were working both. Darin is working with an award-winning sound designer.
With Rana Eid.
Yeah, she's a woman.
She did the sound design, but I had a different also sound mixer. And Ayten had a different sound mixer. So it's funny because I come early in the morning, I finish at 7, for example, and Ayten comes. They take the studio and they work. So we say hi to each other and then they start working until the morning.
What about you, Reem or Shazia?
I'm working on 2 projects now. I'm in post-production for my first feature documentary that I've been shooting for years. And we started working on the editing during the confinement, which was great. And finishing the writing of Plum Season, my feature that the project I was with in the Screenwriters Lab in GMM in 2018, and we're also financing the project to. I mean, we're preparing for the production, for the shooting, for the production phase.
And you have taken it to several platforms, which I'm happy to hear that, you know, that's great exposure for the project, right?
Yeah, we pitched in El Guna in 2019. We pitched in Marrakesh Atlas Workshops, in Torino before. I pitched in Durban Film Arts lately, as I was part of the Realness residency. It's a Pan-African residency. We're transitioning to financing phase.
Shazia, what's up?
So I came with Blood Circle to GMM, but then, you know, I got offered the book adaptation. So I started working on that, and I was working on that. We had plans to shoot it later this year or early next year, but of course, because of COVID, things got stalled. That's a Indian American project. So now I'm working on Blood Circle again, and because Bebaak released on Movie last month, there are 4 or 5 producers who asked me to pitch a story to them. So there's a third project that I'm writing right now. So it's literally working on 3 films at the same time. So I don't know which one will get made first, but yeah, there are 3 projects in the pipeline.
Well, these have been very prolific, fertile times for you guys, and I'm very happy that you are just moving forward. Let me take a few questions from the audience. I'm sorry to hog, but I just could stay talking with you guys forever. So one question here, what are the individual experience from Sam? What are the individual experiences as emerging female filmmakers on getting projects greenlit? How difficult or easy was it? And where did they find the most support? Ayten?
It took us 5 years to make the film. It was not easy at all, although at the time I had a TV series which was a hit, but at the same time it did not help in financing the film, and the film got rejected in a lot of funds actually. And the funny thing is that whenever I went into Masalan workshops, like when I was in Film Independent, most of the filmmakers, they really liked it and appreciated it, but at the same time it was not it did not get any money, so it took a lot of time till we started. And actually I started filming with the money of a friend who became the producer, and it was the first time for him to become a producer. And he works in business, and he doesn't work actually in cinema. So actually the film was greenlit and was made because of someone who was passionate about the project, who did not work in cinema, and who invested in the films. And when we started shooting, we started getting funds from in post. When we had like 2 or 3 minutes of the film, we started getting funds to make it.
Great. I hope you still have your friend. I mean, your friend must be very happy.
He became a producer now.
That was very lucky, you know. The first film he supports that. Okay, going to Cannes.
No, but he really believed in it. That was that was the thing, that he was really passionate about it.
I hope he does not expect that from every film here on, because he might be disappointed. That's not all the time. Anybody? Shazia?
I think the most difficult part would be the financing aspect, what Ayten also said, being a female filmmaker, and especially because in my first feature film that I had written a few years ago, the protagonist was also a female. So for them, a female filmmaker with a female protagonist is a disaster combination. So no one really wants to fund projects like that. So it's such a tough thing to present yourself as a human directing and stories about human, because they just cannot see beyond the gender. And that is a condition that needs to really be shattered, that, you know, it's not your, if I'm coming as a female director on board, I'll get some positives on board as well. It isn't like, oh, what she's not capable of doing, because it starts from the point that, oh, you're a female director, now that's a problem, let's find a solution. So it starts from that. So I think that needs to really, and that's why financing is where women have to get empowered. That it's not that because someone, a female filmmaker, is attached to a project, so let's give her less money, so there's less money at risk. I think all of these notions have to be shattered eventually. That's why it's important that, you know, main big commercial cinema is directed by women, like Wonder Woman, because it shows that women are capable of making films that people will come and watch.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have different experiences depending of where we're coming from in the world, Shazia. Like, for example, it was very difficult for me to start getting money on my film, but not because I was a female, I think. I mean, actually, it helped me. Being a young female filmmaker, making a first feature from Morocco was quite helpful in getting attention. And but like mostly what really helped is doing labs, the Torino Film Lab, the GMM Screenwriters Lab. After that, we started getting development money and attention and pitching forums. So sometimes the circuit could seem heavy and very difficult to navigate, and sometimes long, but it definitely helps in financing the projects.
Great. Who else wants to chime in before we move to the next question? Yeah, Darin?
I think, like everybody's saying, financing is a major thing to make your feature film, especially your debut feature. But also rejection is, you need to have like a real, like Ayten said, someone who believes in you. You need your producers to be the people who stand by your back, like behind you when you get rejected, because I mean, everybody, like in film, you know what rejection means to a writer or director. It means that, like, something is wrong, I'm not good enough, or what. Especially at the beginning, you start having these doubts about yourself. But how it worked for us is more investors and private funds. We had to talk to people, like Ayten said. You have to talk to people who are maybe not in the industry, but who can help and can support you if they believe in the project. You have to like pitch your project to be ready like a machine. Pitch it like 100 times and have the same passion. And sometimes in the like last, but when you're drained and you're like nobody's helping you and you lose hope, خلاص, I don't want to do this anymore, and the last like person you pitch to give you money. So it was it was a tough journey, but it's all worth it when you have when you see the result, and when you have like producers who got your back, and a team who believes in you. Especially sometimes it's really difficult for people to understand. For example, the challenge that I have in my film, it's a very specific setup, and some people wouldn't understand the vision. And like, we as filmmakers, we make the film to tell the story. We don't like to tell the story, you know. So we want them to believe in us and just give me the money. I want to make the film. Just trust me. And it's not.
Mira, do you want to add anything to all of this?
My story is somehow close to Ayten's. The film we've been working on for the past 5 years. It was a short, and now we changed it into a feature. We've been getting rejected from a lot of funds.
Keep going, but
it's been hard. It's been hard, but now we're in Torino Film Lab, and next week we're starting with the feature lab where we get to meet sales and producers from all around the world. So we're crossing fingers that the film is gonna be funded soon.
So keep going, guys. I have one last question from someone in the audience before we wrap. From Farah Al Turki, which I think this is a really nice way of ending, kind of in a full circle, going back to your shorts. What was your favorite part of making the short? Development, pre-production, production, etc., and why? We're running out of time, so be brief, but I think it's a great question to end up in.
I'm gonna start. For me, it's the production phase when we're filming, because I love interacting with the crew and the actors. I get to see the vision right next, in front of me. So that's my favorite part, especially directing actors. So
it shows, actually. I think the performances are great. Shazia.
So for me also it's production, and especially because I was directing my first film, to see everything what I wrote come on screen was very special. And I love directing actors, and also you're adjusting to what's happening on set, and you're changing things, and you're sort of rewriting the script on set. That was really an interesting part, actually. My favorite portion. Yeah.
That's great. Ayten?
Well, in Suaid it wasn't the production phase, but when in spring '89, actually it was in the pre-production and the development of the project, because at the time the rehearsals and discovering the place where we were shooting Helwan, it was a very enlightening and discovering a lot of stuff during this, and my interactions with the scriptwriter was actually very helpful for me at the time.
Mm-hmm. Reem, what was your favorite part of making
I mean, I really have to say production was great. I was surrounded with a great team, all young technicians and friends, and we had great fun. And my actors, my lead actress is a friend of mine. But during post-production, it was quite interesting because I managed with my team, of course, the editing and the sound, to create a whole new dimension for the film that wasn't totally present. And I felt that magic was there, and I met great people during post-production as well. So yeah.
That's great. And did I miss anybody? Darin, did you?
Yes, usually I enjoy production because of course, interacting with the crew and cast, but it's always tough and difficult and stressful. So I enjoy post-production because it's also hard work, but it's more, you're getting closer. So it's more enjoyable.
You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yes.
Well, you guys, I'm so happy to see you. This is a great start of my day. I know it's the end of your day, but for me, I feel all pumped, ready to go for the rest of today. I'm so happy to see all of you. And these are the perks of my job, meeting you guys and being able to hear your stories. And I miss you. So take care. Keep doing the great work. And I'm here for whatever. Okay? Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everybody.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for joining us. Bye.